Hello there, and welcome to Fables and Fairies. I'm the fairy. We tell fables. It could be a good time. This is the start of a new chapter, so we'll see how it all goes. um, of course, we like to get our announcements out of the way first. Due to technical limitations and scheduling conflicts, we are speaking to you from the past across the transdimensional timeline, but we haven't gotten that working for chat yet. So those of us here on screen are not seeing what's going on in chat. I always hang around in real time, as do some of the players, to swing by, see what's up. So say hey, say what's up.
Hello.
I'd like to do more of that, but life just is getting in the way. I'm going to make more of a commitment to be there. But
Ooh,
life is also in my face all the time.
yeah, yeah, same. I know the feeling. And speaking of chat, hanging around, this is a loving queer community. So none of that nonsense in chat, no bigotry, racism, etc. None of that nonsense. Nightbot will have a word with you, or probably me will have a word with you if you go awry of that. And similarly, usual Twitch rules that you are familiar with in many channels, English only, so we can understand what's being said. And no excessive symbols, no outside links. Nightbot is gonna catch a lot of that. And of course, speaking of chat as well, we love the live viewers. It's great to see you in Twitch. But if you're watching on VOD, welcome. We're happy to have you. Go ahead and throw a follow down on Twitch so you can be notified when we have the live premieres. Or if you're watching us later on YouTube, go do a subscribe on YouTube and you'll be notified when the new episodes come out there. Because we love to have everyone in all of the places, and it's great. Let's see. I think that takes care of that. Oh, speaking of the VODs, if you're watching this, you know it, but you can catch the YouTube shows up on Sundays, is the goal there. So, and last but not least, welcome back, Selva. Welcome back, Hannah. So good to have you. And but unfortunately we've traded Hannah for Anthony this week because Anthony had a sudden sort of last minute thing come up, so will not be able to make it. So we will be without Tally this time, and we'll see what happens there. But without further ado, are there any announcements? Open table now.
Nothing to report.
All right.
Pretty boring here.
Fair. Well, then, without further ado, we shall dive in. As you may have gathered from the name of the stream, we are doing Candlekeep Mysteries, my own personal spin on it. Definitely recommend checking it out. Hashtag not sponsored someday. I don't know. But today we will be beginning a new chapter entitled A Deep and Creeping Darkness, which is written by Susan Madsen with direction from Michelle Carter. Go check them out. They're fantastic. This is a cool chapter. I mean, they're all pretty darn cool chapters, but, check it out. And if you've missed our previous chapters, you can catch them back on YouTube or jump in here because it is relatively episodic. They're mini mysteries, so we love to have you along. And without further ado, we shall dive into that. As previously on the Candlekeep Outsource Commission, you had solved the conundrum, the problem of the Book of the Raven, coming to a peaceful, well, not peaceful, but a, rest in peace element on that, and having your downtime as you leveled yourselves up to level 4. But we have a little bit of catch-up to play there as Hannah was absent, so we need to hear about Selva's downtime activities and what she got up to after her harrowing experiences at Chalet Brantifax.
So I think Selva was kind of feeling a little bit more confident, coming into her own, and then sort of being possessed was not ideal. So I think upon returning to Candlekeep, sort of spent a while kind of keeping to herself. Certainly reflecting on just where her life has kind of taken her. She used to just be sort of a normal artist, half elf, and all of a sudden she's thrust into this world when her storm sorcery sort of came to her. So she probably hanging out with Tally quite a bit in the local bar just to kind of process the whole being possessed thing. It's really kind of, as otherworldly as that is, it's extra otherworldly to her who is not accustomed to being, encountering these types of things. But I think after a little bit of a wallowing and requesting emo songs from the tavern minstrel music people, she kind of resolves to double down and like really get into her sorcery, sort of cloisters herself away and reads a lot about how other sorcerers have learned to sort of twist their magic and make it really what they want to be and do. So she's actually going to become a hyper specialized sorcerer, and she's going to pick up the what's it called? The Meta Magic Adept feat. So she's actually going to get 2 more sorcery points and 2 more meta magics, so she can further make those spells what she wants. And her sort of like, touch with being possessed by a ghost and things. She's going to pick up the cantrip Chill Touch because it's sort of her experience being possessed kind of left an impression on her.
Very thematic.
Yes. I'm going to switch my mending cantrip to Shocking Grasp. I don't really have any melee cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to pick up Scorching Ray because that sounds great.
Ooh.
So probably the first 5 days of her 10-day are not pretty. Probably drunk with Sally quite a bit, sad, crying, and then just sort of doubles down and takes this sorcery thing a little bit more seriously.
Fantastic.
Near the end of that 10 days, Zokar goes out searching for her.
So where might Selva be engaging in this sort of study and practical experimentation in twisting her magic?
Mm-hmm. Is there like a courtyard that's not busy in Candlekeep?
Yeah, probably more so like tower tops, because things are tightly clustered together. But yeah, there are certainly open tower tops that offer ample space for mishaps.
That's where she is for sure.
I guess you'll be spell slinging and summoning the fury of the storm, and I will sort of approach and clear my throat. And I have a poorly wrapped box. Like, it's been wrapped in paper, but the paper is not attractive. And there's a string tied around it, but not in a bow, just kind of as a tied bit of string. And I will just kind of clear my throat.
Hey Zokar.
Selva, I have a gift for you.
Oh, that's sort of okay.
He'll just thrust the package into your hand.
And I'm like, wow, it's beautiful. You really went to a lot of effort here. I love the spray on the twine.
Thank you. I found the fractal shape most pleasing.
Okay. Unwrap it.
Inside the box is a small, intricately runed bottle with a stopper attached to a bit of leather cord with a size such that you could wear it as an amulet. And inside the runed vial, which the runes are in Elven, is a drop of blood, dried blood. And should be recognized to you where that blood came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I have been busy at work finishing this. It was something I started before our last adventure, but it is my understanding that most of the group haven't seen you the last few days.
Yeah. The past, our last adventure was just a lot to process, but I can tell that this is, I mean, this almost feels like too much. You had to have gone to a lot of trouble to make this.
It is a reflection of the esteem that I hold you, and I'm not used to having farmers for friends.
Okay.
We are a unit, and we have gone into battle, and you, I think, in this last encounter, had your body taken from you, and I know that it's probably the first time that that's happened. How are you handling it?
Yeah, it is strange to feel a stranger controlling your own body and then feel like a stranger in your own body after the fact. But I in a strange way I feel like it's made me more resolved, and I think I learned a lot from it, and I'm going to do everything I can to not let it happen again.
That is an almost gift reaction. We are familiar with having our minds taken. The flayers, we have other names for them, but they also tread on people's sense of self. I see you have dove into your sorcerer studies. This is to help you.
Mhm.
Uh, all you need do is spend some time um, attuning and uh, absorbing the power here, and then you just need to add a drop of blood to it. And until such a time as you break the connection between you and it will enhance your power. It is a gift not only in response to what you just went through and a safeguard against that further happening again, but it is a thank you for helping me to complete my armor. It was the least that I could do.
Well, I really appreciate it. In my studying, I learned that a Bloodwell vial will give me +1 spell attack, and just by holding it, I can tell that I can now recover 5 sorcery points when we do a short rest.
Which,
So,
since you just gained all extra sorcery points, you're just going to be full up on sorcery points literally all the time.
yeah. Well, it is much, much appreciated. And if you have need for my magic in any other way, don't hesitate to ask.
I am our raiding parties on the astral plane. We realize that we must lean on and enhance each other's strengths if we are to be successful on raids. And I see no reason, because I am here, to stop that practice.
Hmm. Love it. Well, I appreciate it. And despite all my practice, I'm still pretty stressed out. So, you want to do a shot? And I pour you some, not a shot. Let's have some wine, a fine wine.
Absolutely.
I have my health potion right here. So,
Cheers to that. All right. Well, then a lovely afternoon is had with a glass of wine and some spell slinging among friends.
Did you give her the item? I don't exactly have a way of doing that.
I put it on myself, I think. I
Yeah.
made it an uncommon Bloodwell vial.
That is
Mhm.
exactly what it is.
Yep. Very good, very good. So yeah, you may add that and attune to it and all of that if you haven't done so already. And
Now the jealousy between the party that hasn't gotten magic items yet begins.
See, here's what's going to happen with me. I'm going to come back from Waterdeep, laden with my 1,500 gold worth of diamonds and 500 gold worth of trade bar, and I will come to my good friend Zokar, and I will say the bounty from the harp was good, and as promised, I deliver unto you 50% of the takings from that, and I give him 1,000 gold worth of diamonds.
Oh, oh, with this we can deck ourselves out in great finery. a shrewd negotiator. We'll add that to my gold piece total, which is going to feel real good.
Well, I mean, add it to your inventory as being diamonds, because that could be pertinent.
Yeah.
Oh, I
1,000
suppose.
gold worth of diamonds is enough for Revivify or whatever, I believe.
That is true. The people do
Actually-
need to be revivified.
It's
Couple
I
revivifies.
was gonna say it's a handful of revivifies, or various spell components, and things of that nature. So yeah, they are a very useful gem.
I have
Uh,
a diamond here is listed as 5,000. The cost of it, and I don't know if I can edit that. Let's find out.
You
Cost override.
yeah.
I can. There we go. There we go. Okay. Cool.
All right.
and then I will take the gold bar and I will try and divide it into regular gold. So I'd have 500, and I would split that between the other 3 party members.
Slap chop.
so so 500 divided by 3, or
Yes. So 166
Mhm.
gold to each of Selva, Anthony, and Sean here.
All right.
Thank you.
Love.
Very generous of you.
And then I'll keep the other 500 gold worth of diamonds for my own personal use.
Earrings.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. At any point in the course, or at the tail end of downtime, does Barazoon have an introduction to make, or is that sort of?
Oh yes, of course. I would like you all to meet my new familiar. It is a green-eyed raven that has a otherworldly quality to it. I believe it can speak Githyanki, so he and I might share a few words, and Zokar will laugh at the private joke.
Bah!
And then what else?
What's
His
the
name
raven's name?
is Moonencake.
Moon and Cake.
Moonencake.
Munnen.
Munin for Moonin, one of
Moonin.
the ravens of Norse mythology, and Mooncake for the hilarious show that I've been watching recently.
Very good.
Cake.
Moon and Cake is pleased. Very good, very good.
How do I do this?
Do what?
I can't remember how you infuse items. I'm uninfusing Mr. Crossbow and putting it back on the sword for now until there's otherwise a reason to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, it's like all the way at the bottom of your inventory or of your features, one or the other.
Yeah, but there's a way to actually apply it to a specific item. I'm just not getting there.
I think that's at the bottom of the inventory.
I think you're right. Here we go. There we go.
D&D Beyond, make artificers better, please.
Please.
It's so clunky.
It's very clunky. I'm very tired.
And so if that summarizes the tail end of downtime, the time has come. It is early in the morning, of course. At morn bright, the bells toll twice, the second hour of provenance of the day, and you are summoned to your briefing. Same arrangements as before, or is anyone especially early or especially late?
I, as always, am right on time.
Mm-hmm.
I arrived early with a selection of treats. These time much better treats. I'm a chef now.
Very good, very good. All right.
Go up like a minute later, so
Yeah, I'm like right behind. We got maybe we got some tea earlier, Edgar, and we were talking while we came in.
Sounds good. I'll sneak in. I was
What?
here the whole time.
Very good. All right. Well, as you settle yourselves down, of course, right on the bells, or just before the bells, Teleus of Oste enters from his office, his casting out his spellcasting orb, which then, noodles its way over and shines out its purple light to siphon away any sort of dirt or whatnot around his chair, and then it pulls out of its own accord as he sets down his stack of papers and sort of pushes his half moon golden spectacles up a little bit to look at all of you. Well then, good morning, everyone. I trust you had reasonable bit of downtime, relaxation.
Yeah. This has actually been a great time to reconnect with myself and my environment and make new friends. What has brought you in for today?
Well, a rather interesting, I think the word that they used was probletunity?
Probletunity.
Probletunity. It was an interesting phrase, not one that I've encountered before, but I rather like it on reflection. You see, and he sort of, opens up his notes and is, sort of skimming through them. Yes, the Cavern Company prospectors have approached Candlekeep with, as they called it, a probletunity. As they have recently inherited mining rights to a rather rich platinum vein located in the north, but it seems that the town was abandoned some time ago under mysterious circumstances, and they have come to us to research the matter and find some answers about this.
I'm gonna lean over to Munin Cake and in Githyanki say rock farmers and then laugh to myself.
Why would you want to harvest wealth from the earth directly when you can just wait for others to harvest it and then you claim it for yourself?
It boggles the mind.
Is that whole conversation in Gith?
Yes.
Good. There's just one corner of the room and a raven that are just laughing hysterically. And Teleus just sort of looks confused. Well, yes, anyway, they've come to us in order to research this, find whatever information there can be, and that gives us an interesting opportunity to over-deliver on our promises. See, we have been able to do a little bit of research, and perhaps if we are able to dispatch you to preemptively solve their problems for them, it will be a lucrative opportunity in addition to the fee that they are already promising. We have... sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that sounds right up our alley.
Indeed, it is a rather interesting tale. The settlement is named Verdemel, and not much seems to have been written about it. We've combed the archives, finding scant references. It appears on a couple of maps, but there's not much in the way of a comprehensive history. What we did, however, find was a rather amateur tome, but is unfortunately the most detailed account that we have. And he will push forward a slim volume bound, in a sort of thin cover, fine black leather, and gold filigree on the front. This is A Deep and Creeping Darkness, a history and collection of second-hand accounts of the village of Verdemel, compiled by Jordan Saxmary. As I said, it's rather amateur, spelling errors and sloppy handwriting abound, but it is the most close to the source material that we have available. Now, what we have been able to deduce from this book, and you are, of course, welcome to read it and cross-reference in the course of your journeys, but it seems that Verdemel was founded on a very rich platinum vein and boomed for about a decade. About 70 years ago, an explosion shook the town, and over 60 miners were trapped in the mine shafts. 30 of them died instantly in the collapse. 14 more died of dehydration or subsequent injuries, and only 16 came out alive. In the following months, it appears that villagers began disappearing in ones or pairs, first starting with the survivors, specifically, then their families, and then others. The disappearances could occur in the blink of an eye, when eye contact was broken, looking somewhere else. Even though they attempted to start using a buddy system, that didn't seem to help anything. Those who could afford to do so got out, and the village was subsequently abandoned. There is a map included that depicts Mirin as the nearest settlement, some 3 days' ride away on horseback. Of course, you have whatever arrangements might be necessary, but we unfortunately don't have any speedy means of travel at this time, so you're looking at about a 10 days journey overland to the north to reach Mirin, and then 3 further days from Mirin to reach Verdemel.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. How long ago did the explosion happen?
70 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Where, like, what direction? You said it was north?
This would be in the northern reaches of the Sword Mountains that are located between Neverwinter and Thornhold.
Or unless we can take a ship north.
Mm-hmm.
It would drop us off.
Callie won't be pleased about having to be up in the air, the balloon thing, but
Where is Tally? Has anyone seen him?
No. You're making sounds by now.
Oh, there he is.
And you sort of look under the conference room table, and Tally's just like playing with a bit of yarn.
I will take a tray of food and just slide it under the table, and then lower the tablecloth back down.
Oh, excellent. Tally, you can see to the provisions. The prospectors will need escort and directions to the site, and you can handle all the logistics there.
you were able to hit his like very specific meow like note. So well done.
Thank you. All right. Is there anything else? Well, are there any particular arrangements that you would require us to make? We can, of course, provide a wagon, as has been done before, with appropriate mounts. Or if you should wish to pursue other means of transport, you are free to do so.
I mean, it has been a while since I've been just on a road trip, so
Yeah.
going overland
And
might not be the
we'll
worst.
be traveling mostly along the road, right, this time?
Yeah.
Not marching through the woods?
Yes.
Because if so, definitely hire a vehicle of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be reasonable for us to have found a Sword Coast map at some point?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I wonder if I should take the time to invent some sort of mechanical crab. Perhaps we could ride in, and then we would ride there in the crab, and it could have armaments.
But crabs are like little tiny things. How are you going to make a mechanical crab that we can ride in?
No, like a elemental sea crab, one of the big ones.
How about a nautiloid?
Ooh, a nautiloid, and everyone could have separate chambers in its shell.
Sounds crazy.
If only the secrets of their construction could be found.
You know where I bet they would be? Under the sea.
Under the sea?
Under the sea.
Down where it's wetter?
everything's better.
Take it from
Oh
me.
no.
We're gonna get taken down because of that now.
See what I have
It seems like Brendan is getting hot.
Oh my god. All right. So, how are you traveling? What's the story?
We're renting from horses and a cart.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
It is on my to-do list to make a terrifying thing, but that's going to be like 10 levels from now.
Good. Good. All right. Well, with that, any other preparations that you undertake before you depart?
Sorry, you said we're going to the Sword Mountains?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Climbing gear, just some basic climbing gear supplies.
That is actually a hot second. Yeah, I was not paying attention the first time I did this. Yeah, that's like 2 weeks on the road, I think.
You know,
Well, I guess we'll have to bring 2 weeks worth of food with us on this cart. Is there
Listen, I have a feat that just says I just make food every time we take a short or a long rest. I think I summon it out of nothing.
okay. So really what we should bring is like a traveling entourage and just, set up shop like a traveling caravan. Bring
Good.
all of our stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, you gather up the necessary food provisions, grab climbers' kits as you see fit there, and set out northwards for your long, leisurely trek in most places, since you will be following a road for this journey. Now,
So we're leaving from Waterdeep or Mirabar?
from Candlekeep, at least
Sorry,
presently.
from Candlekeep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's be off.
Very good. All right. So you head out. This is a more sort of narrative journey. It's a long thing, and I want to get to the sort of meat and potatoes of the circumstance here. So, is there anything that you do over the course of your journey? Leave some space for the role play moments or anything that you might wish to do.
I got nothing. I cook a bunch of treats. They all have ridiculous names or ridiculous combinations of things. They are tasty, if unappetizing to look at.
Isn't that the way it
Delicious.
is with most food? The stranger it looks, the more delicious it is.
A lot of tentacle-based food, or like
Mm-hmm.
organs that people don't traditionally eat, but that are no less tasty.
Good. All right. Very good.
I study the flow of time to try and get to our destination more quickly.
Does that
Roll.
mean you just got really drunk and tried to pass out until we got there, or?
No. I mean, I'm just
Well-
trying to fast forward the clock here.
Roll an Arcana check.
Okay.
Okay.
24.
Okay. You guys aren't quite sure. It takes. You have this sort of nagging sensation of is it just me, or is it evening already, or did we just? And then sometimes it's I thought we already passed that strange looking tree. So you have a combination of deja vu, and once in a while it seems like we just had breakfast and now we're stopped. Then now it's noon. That sort of strange fluidity of how you're perceiving time, at least. Who knows if you actually travel any faster.
I am content.
Very
It's
good.
time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you want it to.
Now, along the way, some notable destinations for you will be Baldur's Gate, of course, that you are familiar with. Waterdeep, that one or two of you have been to before. Those are the two major destinations. Does anyone have interest in those locales?
I tried to find out if anyone had heard of this catastrophe that had happened 70 years ago.
Okay.
I asked questions because, maybe there's like a refugee that came to Baldur's Gate or Candlekeep or wherever we end up.
Mm-hmm.
Waterdeep looks like it's the closest, so it might be worth stopping there.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, Baratsun, I assume that you're proficient in investigation, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
I would like you to make a charisma check plus your proficiency.
Okie doke.
Um,
I see. So it's going to be this plus 2. Seven.
Oof.
I'm going to re-roll that
Okay.
because I am Baratzun, and
Uh.
when I mess up, I can undo something. So that'll be a 21.
Okay. All right. As you ask around, you're being shrewd about, who might be the reasonable people to ask. Like you single out sort of like elves or dwarves, and people who might have had better memories. And you're, doing your best to be pleasant and, through your scholarly demeanor. And you do at least get a favorable reception. People are, interested of what you're studying and sort of eager to help. But you find that not many people are able to. Most have not even heard of the name. Among dwarves, you do hear, you do get some name recognition of like, before you can even get into the whole story, you just say the name and they're like, oh yeah, they had, good platinum back in the day, didn't they? So there's a little bit of recognition there, but it's all secondhand. You don't seem to encounter anyone who is specifically from this settlement.
Okay. Hard to find out things about this. Any other things anyone wants to do in these populated areas?
Before I leave Candlekeep, I'm gonna send a message to Crabapple
Okay.
and tell him I'm gonna be in Waterdeep soon,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of give him just a rundown and see if he can provide any information.
Gotcha. About the city as a whole, or are you looking for something particular?
If he has any idea of this mine,
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Very
because it
good.
sounds like Neverwinter's fairly close to there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here.
I'm willing to roll for whatever I need to.
Oh no, he's the one rolling. While you are in Waterdeep, you receive his message in response, apologizing that he is not able to dig up any particulars. That he does recognize it. They sold platinum in the region, and it was certainly a blow to the region when their production shut down. But other places came to compensate. Mirabar, chiefly among them.
Shilkar,
Yes.
I hate to ask this of you, but would you mind giving me a couple troops I could send to my friend in Neverwinter?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Would you mind creating some treats for my friend in Neverwinter? He's been very helpful to me.
No, not at all. And then I will make some things, and they will be baked wheat noodles with bat, rosemary and broccoli on a bed of diced horseradish and snowberries. And
He will love this.
raw dire boar rump with papayas and caraway seeds.
He will love this.
Good.
And then I'll
Don't
send him a thank you
forget the
note.
red waffle nuts. They have to be kept separate until just before you eat it. Be very clear on that.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. So, with that business attended to, you continue your way past Waterdeep and head towards the Sword Mountains, following the instructions and maps that you have to take you to Mirren, the larger settlement within that region that is referenced on the map.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Sword Coast map, and it looks like there's 2 Sword Mountains.
The northern area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like near Tribor?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so, as you are weary from the road, you have had a long journey by wagon ride to get here. It is a welcome sight to see this sort of agrarian bustle of activity. It is a fairly large village. There are a number of 2 and maybe even a handful of 3-story buildings, and a palisade wall that protects, not, it doesn't encircle everything, but it sort of protects some sort of key points and gives some bulwarks, and is absolutely a sort of bustling center of activity. From what you gathered from the map, this is the place to be within the general region, and is the largest settlement within probably about a 3-day perimeter. And so, as you arrive, what would you like to do?
So where exactly have we arrived?
You have
Not
correct. You have arrived in a large village by the name of Mirren.
Got it.
That is a 3 days journey from Verdamel, your target. And Mirren is the largest settlement nearby.
Okay. Well, surely somebody here will have heard something of the disappearances, at least, that this is the closest settlement. We heard about it, so the news must have come from somewhere.
I think my first thing that I would do is like we need to find a place to store our horses and like at least bed down. So I guess I'd look for a tavern.
All right. Quick, easily noticed as it is near the center, sort of off center of the town, and people happily point you there, is an establishment by the name of the Board Weasel, which is a modest-looking building. It's 2 stories, sort of timber and stone construction. Neatly whitewashed walls, a nice carved sign above the door, and people point you there with a smile on their face.
What I've learned is I do not know how to spell the word weasel properly.
Is it board like washboard or board as in boring?
Boring.
Okay.
Hmm.
And the name of the town is Mirabor.
Mirren. Maerin.
I was way off.
I don't know where I got Mirabor from.
Okay.
It was a long day. I'll just put it that way.
I'm with you. And as a matter of fact, as I just spelled Mirren, I was like, I'm probably doing that wrong, but I'm sticking with Mirren.
Yeah. I might have gone with Marin, but
Yeah,
it is Mirren to me.
indeed.
What? So we check into the Board Weasel. What's the scope of or feel of the joint? Is it upbeat, or is there are we the only people up and about?
You are at this point probably arriving mid-afternoon, probably 2 or 3 p.m. So there's not a ton of activity, but it is certainly not deserted. There's probably enough room for 20 to 30 people in the sort of tavern space, and there's a decent smattering of somewhere between 5 and 10 right now, having a sort of afternoon cerveza, if you will, or something of that sort. Folks sitting around, and over at the bar, kind of wordlessly, there's no verbal greeting, but just a raised hand of welcome. You see a sort of gangly, elderly human male, sort of tanned, very dark, dark skin, heavily wrinkled, a big sort of tuft of white hair that just sort of poofs straight up, but is shaved across the sides, and a sort of deep laugh lines and crow's feet and whatnot as he just sort of regards you and welcomes you with just a passive wave.
Beautiful.
Tavern keeper, we require stabling services and your finest room.
Well, I'll tell you, all the rooms here are mighty fine and stable and
Yes, but we want the finest.
Certainly, sir. We can absolutely do that. And Stablen, we got a plenty right next door. And will you be wanting any food? Some salty fish surprise?
Is it good?
And the room around you is just like, huzzah!
A little
Yes.
weird.
I will take a bowl of salty fish surprise. Plate?
Bowl or a cup if you're just a tiny bit peckish.
Bowl.
Up for me.
What's the surprise?
Salty fish surprise.
Like, this is a mining town. Did we pass a large lake
No.
that we just weren't told about?
No.
I don't think, and there's not like refrigeration technology in Faerun, so
That's what the salt's for.
Yeah.
Is the surprise that the fish is actually like deer?
Are you
I'll take a buttered toast.
Butter toast for the tall gentleman. All right. And so he goes about serving up the bowls or cups and plates as necessary, sort of slinging them down the bar towards you for you to sort of pick up and choose where you want to sit or to stay at the bar.
I will inspect my buttered toast and then bite in.
All right. It is slightly saltier butter than you're used to, but otherwise fine.
I will take the bowl, ignore the utensils, and just like, as if my mouth is a funnel, just gulp the fish stew. Like I'm unhinging my jaw and just consuming things in one solid without any kind of manners whatsoever.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Let's see. And Azure was having some as well. How about Selva?
I think she went with the buttered toast as well. But perhaps she used some prestidigitation to tone down the salt taste of it.
Fair.
Ooh.
All right. Azure, Zokar gulps it down and turns to you and is like, this is delicious. This is the most fantastic stew I have ever tasted. You absolutely want some.
I'll just nibble on it. Let's see what happens.
And it is very salty and has a strange, like, the broth is rubbery in texture. It tastes fine, but the broth itself just has this strange, sort of almost gelatinous texture to it, and it's quite off-putting. But Zokar sincerely finds it delicious.
A properly thick stew, if ever I've had one. Not this watery filth I'm so often served in lesser taverns.
Well, I thank you kindly for that. That's nice to have a compliment. Now, what brings you lot to town? You're not the usual sort of fare around here. And indeed...
Sorry, go ahead.
And indeed, looking around, you see it's a predominantly human. You see maybe there's one individual who's a half-elf, and maybe one dwarf off in the corner, but it is definitely predominantly human. So he's looking at the two Gith with interest, not any sort of, judgment, but you're very different.
We're investigating a mine explosion. It happened 70 years ago. We got here as soon as we can.
Oh. Well then, soon as you can, you say?
Yeah, it took us 2 weeks.
As soon as we heard the news, we rushed right over.
Well, yeah, it was quite the experience. News didn't get too far. Not a lot of folks left to take it out. Myself being one of them.
So I am correct in assuming that these lines in your face mean you were here when it happened.
Oh, you are an interesting bunch. Well, here, come sit at the bar. Name's Lucas Grosvenor.
Lucas Grosvenor?
Mm-hmm.
Lucas is just a patron, or is he the barkeep?
He's the
He's the
barkeep.
Okay,
He's the gangly old man with laugh lines and
that's right.
has been oh so kind to us thus far.
Call me Az, Azure.
Nice to meet you, Az. And who might you be? Looking up at Zokar with sort of a cocked eyebrow.
Zokar.
Pleasure. And looking over at Bartzoon.
Barzun at your service.
Oh, this one has manners. I like it. And you, miss?
Alva, good to meet you.
Likewise. Well, like I said, 70 years being the soonest, as you heard. I appreciate the humor there. But, no, yeah, there's not a lot of folks that made it out. Not many that are old enough to remember. And I'm not long for this world at this point myself, but, be happy to tell you what I can. You know, at least pay respects to my wife's memory and make sure that people know.
Okay.
So what brings you around? I mean, it's kind of all said and done. Everyone packed up and left who could. That was the end of that.
There's a man at the library we work at who tells us what to do and where to go, and he told us to come here, and we did come here.
No,
Yeah,
not
what was the official reason that he gave us? Just he called it a probletunity. What was the problem?
Someone bought up this mine and they wanted us to look into it, from my understanding.
I've never
Ah.
heard of a probletunity before, but he doesn't like it when I question him, so I tried not questioning him, and that's why we came here. You have a probletunity. We are here to solve it. Probletunitily.
sort of leans over to Azure. He's not from around here, is he?
He's from really far north, I guess. I don't know.
Really far out?
Sideways?
Yeah. Distal from the central axis of the plane.
You're right. Well, I don't know what sort of fool thought that they would get any use out of that sort of those rights or property. Place is rightly haunted and cursed. It was
Cursed, you say?
Haunted. We've dealt with worse.
well,
I'm not interested in haunted, frankly.
well.
It's been my experience that cursed means there's something there that we didn't understand and we didn't take the time to clean it up. But that's why we're here.
Well, lots of folks died. Plenty more, even more, went missing. So, with no explanation. Certainly seems magical, curse. Some unnatural misfortune to me. Took my wife. She died in the collapse. And wasn't long, even after some souls were rescued, that others, they started disappearing. Others started disappearing. I didn't have much of a reason to stay there, so I headed out.
Does anybody stay there still? Or has anybody moved in?
Certainly not that I'm aware of. No one's left. I left along with Tormund and Blennis. Good couple, lovely folks. They got out, moved their business elsewhere. They used to run a very cute little shop. I hope that they got themselves set up somewhere. It was called the Wand and Hammer. Nice spot. I know the mayor, Lay. She stayed behind. From what I understand, she was never seen again. She was determined to solve it, though. Real learned lady. She and her wife had this big library in the mansion, and they thought for sure that they'd find the answer there.
Was she in the habit of keeping notes or a journal?
Well, she was a pretty studious woman, took her job really serious, so I suspect so. I wasn't a good friend to her personally, though.
Hmm.
Well,
What did your wife do in the mine?
she dug. She was a miner.
Like a
Makes sense.
child?
Uh, no, she extracted, and she's sort of picking up the lingo. Like, no, she took the platinum out of the earth.
Ah, a rock farmer. Understood.
Yes,
I know us
yes.
primes have weird jobs. Or primies? I forget what you call us.
Materials.
Materials.
Materials. I like primies better personally.
So in the time leading up to her disappearance and the accident, was anything unusual going on, or had this any signs of unusual activity?
Nothing that I was able to pick up on. Everything seemed normal. We all felt it that day. The explosion, beneath the mountain. Rushed to see what was the problem and immediately realized that there had been a cave in. Everyone was inside, and we worked many days trying to dig them out. Um,
You must excuse my ignorance of rock farming. If their job was to move the rocks and to take the rocks, and they were trapped on the other side of rocks, why did they not simply move the rocks blocking their path?
because that's a lot of rocks, and as we later came to learn, not many of them left alive in good shape to do the work either.
So
You said-
you have been. So go. Sorry, Salva. Please go ahead.
I was just gonna say, explosion. Did you typically use like gunpowder and things to help you mine, or was it more hard labor sort of thing? What was the nature of the explosion?
Well, that was more Lorna's forte. She was a chemist, so she actually worked with some of the substances that they used, but never made much sense to me. But if you are going that way, um, might might I ask a favor?
Of course, you've been so hospitable to us.
Well, I'm not ready to go back there. I don't think anyone is, and it's far too much of a journey for someone of my age anyway. But we did bury her in the town cemetery. If you could lay some flowers on the grave, and say goodbye for me, I would really appreciate that.
What were her favorite flowers? If you could tell us.
She was very fond of violets, actually.
Then it shall be done.
Did we catch her name?
Lorna.
Lorna.
Is there a flower farmer here in town?
Well, yes, actually. Lovely individual named Astra. They are a remarkable florist and actually originally hail from Verdemal themselves.
Hmm.
So is she also old enough to remember the explosion?
They are a half elf.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're a half elf. But I don't know them personally very well, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's certainly possible then. We should go there next, I think.
And as a thank you for your trouble, there is a large tree in the center of town, and if you look inside the hollow in the trunk, you should find something as a thank you.
Okay.
We'll be sure to do that.
Would it be possible to take a brief break?
Yeah, certainly. Not too shabby. All right, folks. Remember, brain breaks, bio break. You know, whether you're playing online or in person, it's important to take a little breather. So we will be back in about 5 minutes. See you soon. All right, welcome back. I hope you had a lovely break. I know we did. So we dive back in as the party is exploring Mirren, the large settlement that is nearby the abandoned ruins of Verdemel, and they are pursuing some local knowledge. And I believe we left off with the party going to seek a florist.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right.
What was their name again?
Astra.
Astra.
They are a half elf. So anywhere from 30 to 130.
Indeed.
All good eaters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, as you follow Lucas's instructions, just to head out to the open market that dominates the center of town, where basically three major roads of the region sort of come together, and there are tents and awnings and sort of temporary stalls that occupy the open square here. And sure enough, you sense the lovely aroma of fresh cut flowers and see the bright colors of many different varieties of tulips and daffodils and lilies that are shining out from this beautifully bedecked stall with baskets upon baskets of flowers. And you see a middle-aged, late to middle-aged half-elf that is tending to the stall, and as you approach, sort of looks in your direction. Well, now, don't be shy. Come on over. Oh, you sound like a big one, and points to Zokar's direction.
Yes, I am very large.
And as
We
you
have come.
And as you come closer, you can see very pale, milky blue eyes that have the sort of look, the full elvish look to them, whereas many of the sort of facial features have the softer human side. But that classic like pupilless, blue of an elven eye, but it is heavily clouded over as they sort of look in your direction. Well, don't waste too long. I've got a good fresh cut of the day. The tulips are especially nice today. I recommend the pink ones, actually.
Well, that is perfect, as that is precisely what we've come to buy.
Were you
Is
looking?
it?
Were you looking for anything particular?
Yes, tulips and perhaps information if you have it. We are investigating the explosion that happened in Verdamont some 70 years ago, and are under the impression that you might have been in the vicinity when that occurred.
Well, yes, and no. I was very young at the time, so I don't have very specific memories, but I do remember hushed whispers. There was gossip among my parents and others in the village about folks being trapped, about the horrible nightmares. Mama had them especially bad. It got us up, gathered us, and got us out of there. I overheard her talking with Papa about just things not being right anymore, and she was very, very adamant to get out. She was, I mean, looking back with an adult's recollection, I think she was very distraught. She was kind of beside herself in retrospect.
Did she have some later reveal of what had been upsetting her so, or was it just kind of disregarded as a strange premonition?
Well, she did. I did hear her often talk about nightmares, horrible dreams. as any child, I got my fair share of nightmares. But this didn't sound the same. She still talked about them a little bit after we left, but soon after we made it here, she got very sick. Her skin went pale and cold, and she was just chronically very tired. About 5 years after we got here, I was still young. She finally succumbed to whatever it was.
Well then, I'm sorry to dredge up old memories, if they have been painful. We are just hoping to have, as much information as we can be armed. We plan to pay a visit to that place in a few days.
Oh, well. Then in that case, you'll definitely need some of these. She sort of, or they sort of lean over and sort of sniff at the air and plucks a sprig of lily of the valley and sort of comes over to you and sort of pats around and pins it into like one of your, like a button slit on your jacket or robe,
Nice.
and proceeds to pluck out and do the same to all of you. Selva, she sort of feels feels around your face and puts it tucked into your ear. Zokar, they sort of reach out and realize that you're wearing this armor and finds a place to pin it into one of your buckles. And Azure, oh, that's a very lovely cape. Beautiful texture, and sort of pins it into the brooch pin or whatever that holds it together.
Thank you.
This is truly a rare stall of, beauty in the midst of this town. We're travelers, and unfortunately, the sad thing about flowers is they don't last. Do you have any sort of like, I don't know, dried flowers or maybe even violets?
Or a vase with which to transport these flowers.
We'll just walk around.
You're a storm
A
wizard. Just
travel
make a little
vase.
rain cloud. Just
There you go.
Vases and dried flowers, I can certainly do. The dried ones aren't quite as popular, so I don't have as many, but I do think that there are some violets. And they sort of go back behind the stall and sort of reach down, and you can hear the sort of sniffing again. And they bring up 2 bouquets of lilies and violets. When they dry, I can't smell them quite as well. I trust you can spot what you need.
We can take both, I think.
Oh, okay. Very well. Is there anything else that you'll need?
I don't think so. This is the most I've bought at a flower shop in a long time, in fact.
Well, if I'm getting it right, these should be some lilies and some violets, as promised. I'm not sure which is which, but between the lot of them, there'll be 2 copper.
Lovely. I give her a silver.
Oh, you're very here. Let me and they sort of go down and start fiddling with the change.
Oh, no need. Please, you've given me such. I'm sorry. Is a payment for the information and an apology for dredging up bad memories.
Oh, well, then appreciated. And they put it back down beneath the stall and sort of tuck everything away. Well, I hope that your journey ends, or not ends. My goodness. I hope that your journey proceeds more favorably than those that I remember.
And the same to you.
And they sort of wave in your direction and see you on your way.
They farewell in Elven to them.
There's a smile, or there's a flash of confusion, and then a smile as they sort of pick up on it and recognize. And you get the sense that it's been quite some time since they heard their native tongue.
Do I speak Elven?
I do.
I do as well.
I think the whole party speaks Elven.
Even Tally.
I think so. Well, I mean, I could check.
Yeah. It might have been one of those things that you guys cleverly cooperated on.
I mean, Elven is like probably the second most spoken language, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Common,
Especially for a setting in a school. Like,
Yeah.
I have to imagine half the faculty is Elven.
All right. Is there anything else that you wish to do here in Mirren? Are you going to rest up for the night? Because you did request rooms.
Yeah, that seems wise.
Mhm.
Make sure there's no ill effects of the fish surprise.
Fair
I'd
enough.
hate to be out in the middle of the wilderness when the fish surprise shows you what the surprise really is.
Indeed. All right. Well, as you get rooms for the night, Lucas, does have to ask something, because the rooms are in demand, but he gives you what seems like quite a good deal at just a copper apiece.
Wow, this
Hmm.
place is cheap. Yeah, I don't have any problem paying a copper apiece.
All right. And you settle in for very comfortable night on, in very modest rooms. There's not really any special decoration or, beautiful features, but the beds are softer than a cloud.
Fish surprise.
Nicer than my bed, personally.
Yeah. And Azure, I would like for you to make a Constitution save.
Oh no.
Okay, all right. You wake up in the middle of the night with a sudden unsettling gurgle in your stomach,
Mm.
and then just let out a little toot and you feel much better.
Mm.
Do not like this.
And you all rise the next morning, nicely rested, certainly the best rest that you've had on this long overland journey, and begin to make your way out towards, God, why am I always forgetting the name? Verdamel.
How do you spell that, by the way? Because I have it like 3 different ways in my notes.
Verdamel.
I was off by 1 letter. Before we go, I want to pull Lucas to the side.
Okay.
That was a really comfortable bed last night. Where did you get them from?
Well, I've learned a few tricks of my own in my day. Picked up a trick or two from Lorna to treat the wool just the right way.
Well, we're from Candlekeep, and if you could send, I don't know, a couple beds up that way, I could pay you pretty handsomely.
I'll see what I can do. You come back from Verdamil in one piece and consider it done.
Thank you.
I'm going to sort of just skeptically look at Azure and say, you do have a taste for the finer things.
Oh, I'll just leave it at that.
Mysterious.
Ooh.
All right.
Cool.
And so,
Early bird gets the worm, I guess, off to the wilderness.
very well. Good. So you head out, taking your your usual path or your usual cart along the indicated path. You travel for the first day, and into the second day, the road starts fading. It is starting to transition into wilderness. You know, the sort of mountainous undergrowth is starting to reclaim the trail. Trees have fallen in the way. Rocks rocks have shifted over the years as erosion takes its toll, and so it is slow and arduous going. But you manage to overcome the hazards along the way, though it is sweaty, unpleasant work. Although as you are rising in altitude, the climate gets more comfortable for your exertions. Until finally, at about 4 or 5 p.m. on your third day, you come into a slight depression high in the mountains, a sort of glen, and you can see with the distant, beginnings of sunset casting the long shadows across the mountainside, the long decayed and dilapidated remains of a bustling little mining village. As you are coming down into the valley, you can see the sheer mountain face that rises ahead, and the hints of, cracks and crevices in the mountainside that would lead into this mine space. You do notice off to one side a large sort of fenced-in cemetery, and near the center of town, a large, twisted and gnarled, long since dead tree of some sort, and a 2-story house on the far side of it, whereas the entirety of the town is just 1-story houses.
Well, our friend did say there was something at the center of the tree, the center of the town, right? Which I'm guessing is this tree. So let's go check that out.
Okay. He said the first thing to do, well, I don't know if it was the first thing, but we also need to pay a visit to his wife's grave. But let's go to the tree first.
I think we should actually do the grave first.
He said it was as thank for putting the flowers on the grave, so I agree with Asher.
Don't take the reward before doing the chore.
Yeah.
That's not the Gith way. But
You can
And also-
have the reward and not do the chore and leave that to the farmers.
let's go to the grave.
Okay. So as you make your way into the town proper, the village proper, it is eerie and unsettling. It is quiet. A sort of breeze blows across the mountainside, swaying some of the nearby trees. You hear a door sort of creak in the distance as it sort of rocks off its hinges. The houses are overgrown with ivy in places, young trees that have cracked up through the walls and started to push their way around, breaking away the beams with their steady, patient advance. And there are, as the sun is setting, long shadows and darkened doorways that just, are pitch shadow within. As you make your way to the graveyard, it is a tidy space, fenced in, now very overgrown with tall grasses and brambles starting to break their way across. You see rows upon rows of headstones. And come on. Okay. And you can notice, even from this distance, that near the back of the graveyard, the headstones seem to give way to just small cairns of rocks piled up.
As I consider that we're going to, maybe I look at Barrett Zune and ask him if he has the violets on him. I kind of remember the lily of the valley in my hair and maybe reflect upon my knowledge of nature and think, what is lily of the valley used for? Why would she maybe have given us this?
Okay. Make a nature check. Okay. You are not aware of any particular use of Lily of the Valley, in any sort of medicinal sense or application that you can think of. But as you are thinking to that, and you sort of, scratch at your ear, it's still as fresh and as beautiful as when they placed it in your hair.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm. Okay. So I am going to be looking around the gravestones and seeing if there are any that look to have withstood the test of time better than any of the other ones.
Okay, make a investigation check. Okay.
19.
Sure enough, most of them do still have the writing on them because it is stone, so it hasn't weathered too much. You do have to maybe in some cases pull away some ivy or scrape away some moss. But in fairly short order, you find a headstone closer to the back that reads Lorna Grosvenor, beloved of Lucas, forever my heart.
Okay. Well, this looks like the place. I will place the was it tulip or violet
Violet.
on
Violet, yeah.
on the headstone
Okay.
or on the ground just before the headstone.
Mm-hmm. And as you sort of kneel down, the tall grass sort of pressing up against you, and you lay down the bundle of dried flowers,
Roll initiative.
you faintly hear, almost like a whisper on the wind over your shoulder, "Thank you." And soon, you gain. You can just put this in your notes because I didn't create it as an item per se, but you have earned the Charm of the Guardian Angel.
Okay.
It has 3 charges. You may expend 1 charge to cast Protection from Evil and Good, not requiring concentration, but only 1 at a time.
Okay. Do they recharge?
No, it's
Okay.
a consumable effect.
Cool. I am grateful to this disembodied spirit. Now what? To the tree?
Let us go.
Okay. As
Yeah.
All right. As you return back to the center of town, shadows growing longer, you are losing the daylight and the sunset by this point, as the mountain is, blocking some of the rays. So the shadows are growing long. It is getting cooler, and you see this very old, twisted, withered oak tree that dominates the center of the town square. Its empty branches sort of gnarled and hunched, almost as though it's sagging down with the weight of its own age. As you approach, sure enough, you see, classic, sort of 100-acre woods or, fairy tale. There is a hollow, at about head height in the tree.
I will take an action and make my tools glow, and then I will poke one in there and take a look and see what I can find.
Okay.
On our way over to this oak tree, my current theory is that they're being pulled underground by something.
Sure.
So I want to see if there's like I don't know, like
Looser.
looser dirt. Yeah.
Okay. Make a investigation check.
And what about Zokar? Sorry, I cut him off.
Well, that's happening on the way, so then we'll jump ahead to the moment there.
Jeez.
Okay. As you are looking around, you don't see anything in that sort of indication. You do notice that there is because you start in the graveyard, and you do notice this pattern of all the headstones, and you notice that the headstones are a little more simple towards the back, and then it transitions to just those cairns of piled stones as grave markers, and you sort of get the impression of like, oh, people started dying or disappearing too fast to make headstones. Basically,
So,
yeah.
Lorna's grave would have still been. She would have died early on.
Yeah. She's one of the last headstones that you can pick up on.
Well, she died in the explosion, right? From what we gathered.
Yes, so that makes sense.
Okay.
And then most of the more shoddily done graves would have been those who died afterwards.
And did we get a sense for how long after the explosion that people started disappearing until the town was abandoned? Was it like days, weeks, months?
I don't think either of the individuals you spoke to referenced that.
Okay.
Well, I think one of them was one of the first people to leave, so that's to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other one was a kid, so. Okay.
All right.
We could fast forward.
Swing back to the tree as Zokar pokes in, and you see a faint glint of metal reflecting off your light.
I will take the glowing probe and I will probe the metal.
And you easily manage to pull out a locket, a silver tarnished locket on a silver chain.
It's a necklace. Probably, I mean, how much do I think this is worth? This is like common young love people stuff.
Yeah.
Let's open and lock it up.
I open the locket up.
Okay. It resists a little bit, but manages to be opened. And inside, just engraved, sort of etched into the silver itself, is L-E. Or no, sorry, L-L.
Lorna.
Okay.
Lucas. Lorna and Lucas.
Is it LL or L and L?
Just the two letters.
Gotcha.
Are they like side by side? Are they like?
Yeah, sort of like staggered.
Like
Okay.
that? Okay.
Mhm.
It's not just two L's like that.
No.
We know what this is.
And they're not like flipped like the Fables and Fairies logo, are they?
No.
Love
that shameless plug.
So the day is growing long. We should probably find a place to make camp. Do we want to make it in there? And I'll point to the big house. You described a big building?
Mm-hmm. Which, in fact, you are directly in front of now. This large oak tree grows basically in the front yard / town square of this, squat 2-story building. It has, the shutters sort of drooping off of it. The front door is actually a double door that is just laying on the steps, and it's just this vacuous blackness inside. There are it looks like there's chimneys on every corner, but the southwest corner has the chimney has fallen over and is just a pile of bricks on the grass as ivy is growing over it.
Okay.
We can find like a defensible room in there that doesn't have other broken entryways.
Yeah, if there's like a hearth that we can light a fire in, and all kind of pitch a tent or just lay on the ground a bedroll on.
Uh,
Because I don't trust going into the bedrooms and sleeping separately.
Before we get too far, would everyone be willing to tie a rope to each other? Because it seems like people just disappeared, so I don't know.
I
I
agree.
think that is a sound precaution. But come, Azure, help me with this door, and I'll pick the door up and like put it next to where the hinges would be, and I'll look at you and then look at the door, the other door.
What do you want me to do?
Pick up the door. I'm gonna fix the door.
How big are these doors?
They're, each a normal sized door. It's just your standard
Oh.
sort of double door.
I thought these were giant, like
Oh,
double doors.
no. It's just
Okay.
it's classic double doors. To a nice house.
Okay, so I can pick this up. I'm
Yeah.
a very skimpy half elf. I'll pop it up.
I'll cast mending on the doors.
Okay. Somebody diversified with his level up.
No, actually, I just switched it out for guidance because I just felt like changing things out on a semi-regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a prepared
requires a lot of
spellcaster.
keeping
It's been a
anyway.
while since I've been one of those. So yeah, I'll mend these doors, and then there will be whole doors.
All right. Cool. And so as you, mend those back together, there is satisfying, crunch, click as screws manifest and sort of pull the doors flush, and they sort of slam shut, to right themselves. Azure and Zokar, roll wisdom saves.
I did it.
Is this the charm effect at all?
Nope. We'll see. Oh, okay.
So I did the double clicking thing again. Sorry about that.
Oh Lord, I was trying to see who got lower, and you both rolled damn 16s.
Perfect.
You are both sort of like stagger inwards as the door slams in front of you, and closes Selva and Barazun outside.
I will turn to Selva and say we should be careful. Your suggestion of tying a rope to each other seems much more pertinent.
Like I don't want to
Sean,
take
you
it.
said that, wasn't it?
I don't want to take Asher's credit, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I will open the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
The door opens after a sort of brief moment of panic as the it's still working on mending the latch, so on your first twist it doesn't work, and you have that brief moment of panic as the door rattles, and you are in the dark because you don't have the dark vision, and then the door swings outward, and the little bit of sunset basks on you again, and you breathe a sigh of relief.
It takes a lot more than a locked door to scare me. I eat locked doors for breakfast. Come on in.
Yes.
This place will be much
I
more
look
defensible.
suspiciously at the door. Are you going to mend it again?
No, it's fine now. It just was. I was fixing it. I fixed it.
Okay.
This place will be much more defensible now.
Okay.
I'll take out some rope and start tying it like around my waist.
Yeah. No, I'm right behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Since we bought all that climbing gear, we got plenty of rope.
Indeed.
Should we do pairs or all four of us? Do you think?
I think we
should-
all
we
are
should-
tied to
we
at
should be
least
a
one other
quartet.
person.
So here we are. Yes, the mayor's mansion that you find yourself at the front door of.
It's time to go to bed, right? So we can get a nice start in the early light. Or how much? I mean, if it's daylight,
We should
is it
definitely,
6
like,
p.m.
scope the
end of
place
the day,
out.
or is it like 8 p.m. end of the day?
It's like 7 p.m. Like the sun has just gone down.
Yeah. So we should make sure we case the mansion. Go check every room. Make sure there's nobody in here with us.
I will take a item on each of you and briefly manipulate it with tools, and then it will glow light in a 5-foot radius. That'll take 30 seconds or so.
Pretty neat.
Nice.
Okay. One for each of us.
Yep.
Sweet.
Cool.
Let's go in. Who's taking point?
I will go.
Okay, I will be the one right behind you.
If you see any children's dolls, I will be leaving immediately.
Oh, don't worry. We will slice the doll in half.
Perfect.
All right. So, you are in Roll20, by the way. That was why I switched screens, so you can see the mansion before you. And so you come in to a dust-covered, wide hallway. There are moth-eaten cloaks hanging from hooks on the wall, and it branches off into other rooms in the darkness. The faint glow of your light sources casting long shadows, and a stairway leads up to the second floor, and oh, that's weird. I did not include that, I don't think. Oh, okay. And there is a doorway that seems to go to the backyard, but it's not depicted on the map, even though this is the official map. And I was so impressed with the official map.
We can do a deeper investigation, later. But let's check. It's over here.
Okay. As you peek into this space, you see what looks to be some sort of waiting chamber, perhaps. There are chairs arrayed along one side that are full of holes. They're moth-eaten. It looks like rats have sort of settled in and chewed their way through everything. And then there is a desk to one side and a cold, empty fireplace that has faint light flickering through it because this is the chimney that has toppled over.
Okay. This way.
You said waiting, not waiting, right?
Waiting, yes. Like, it's time for my appointment.
Like a waiting room. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that'll behave itself better now. So as you poke into this room, you see a long since abandoned what's the word I'm looking for? Dining room. There we go. I know how to talk. Yeah, simple dining room. There is a sideboard off to one side where you can see long, clouded over and dusty wine glasses and decent china that is sort of, stacked up and whatnot, covered in a thick coating of dust and cobwebs. You can see that there is a shelf that contains, looks like, potted goods and, things like that, pottery containers for long since spoiled food that are tucked off to the side. And then once again, an open, cold fireplace.
Is it silverware?
Make an investigation check.
I can do that. I do that. I'm an investigator.
Should have advantage for plundering.
It absolutely is true silverware.
I'm not going to stack this up now, but we're going to take this. But I will grab whatever the largest knife, even if it's like a butter knife is, and just take that.
Okay.
Sharpen that up nice and good later.
Very good. You do actually manage to get what looks like an ornate sort of carving knife, for serving up, turkey or that sort of thing. Your fancy Thanksgiving serving knife.
Love that journey for me. Going over this way.
All right. As you look over in that direction, you find to the northern portion a neatly, let's see, I actually want to sort of fiddle with this a little bit.
I mean, this is like a semi-large house for this kind of community. Like, it has the feeling of like a fancy house.
Yeah.
Well, it's the mayor's
This
house,
seems
right?
to be the mayor's house. Yeah.
Oh. All right. So as you peek into that room to the north, there is a smaller circular table. You can see covered in the dust that there are various bits of parchment, and there's even like a ledger of some sort that is still open off to one side, and there's a moldered sort of tapestry on the wall that looks like maybe it was a coat of arms or something, but has long since sort of lost its definition and is all sort of tattered.
Can you mend that?
Yes, and then I do so.
Okay. You manage to, you spend some time casting on that. Meanwhile, you can see to the southern portion, looks like a sort of assembly room. There are stools scattered about, arranged in a sort of audience arrangement, but they've been sort of toppled over and sort of strewn about. And there are bookshelves off to the side that are mostly empty, but seem to hold a few, sort of heavy ledger elements on them. And then as you conjure up the mending spell, you manage to pull back together the stitching of this, and manage to reveal the colors are still very faded, as that is just the ravages of time, but you can faintly see a fine design that allow me to.
Can you undo the ravages of time? I will say in the exact same tone of voice to Barat Zun that he asked me if I could mend it with.
Not yet, my friend. I yet need more study.
Okay.
Darn.
There is a pattern of the sort of dwarvish sigils and a shield that is cut bisected in half with like a sort of pale color and a dark color, and that seems to be the crest there.
So the mayor or the town was probably dwarvish. Makes sense for being a mining town,
Mhm.
or
I
at
feel
least
like
has
this.
dwarvish influence.
I feel like this southwest room looks a little culty to me. You mentioned there was ledgers on the bookcase. Can I read one and just take a sampling of what's in there,
Sure.
or read a sampling?
Yeah, make an investigation check.
Maybe we should do this while we're resting. I think we should keep searching the house before we look too
I
much.
think Azure is right. Let's make sure the second floor is secure, and then we can all take to our tasks.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think we don't know what's going on here.
I just put the ledger back, and I'm kind of like, okay.
I mean, we can grab them,
No.
but
I just wanted to read it. I just wanted to see what it said.
I'll grab them then.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab them and slip them into her bag.
All
A
right.
reverse cycle.
Can I do a sleight of hand?
Sure.
Critical fail.
Maybe not.
Critical fail.
Maybe not.
Critical fail. Critical fail.
Almost.
Oh man. Let's see
Oh, you're
here.
starting a robot again.
I know.
Yeah, the lighting's on.
Hold up. Yeah, stop moving.
Stop moving.
Stop moving. Okay,
There we go.
there we go. All right, as you make your way upstairs, there is a large open hallway, or an open sort of common area. To the south, you see what looks to be, as you can sort of glance through, definitely looks like a library. There is a table with all sorts of stuff piled up all over it. And then you see multiple doors to the various sides.
I'd like to go back to the part where someone tries to slip a book into someone's bag, well below their passive perception. Well below their passive perception.
And as you are coming up the stairs, Selva, like, well, you didn't, I mean, he didn't roll like a natural one, so it's not going to be awkward. But Selva, you definitely feel like a distinct tug on your satchel.
I'm just like, do you need something?
I'll just kind of slip the book in there and not say anything. Just look her directly in the eyes while I'm
Open-handedly
doing
put
it.
it in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
silently giving this to you.
I'm sure that'll come up later.
Good. Good.
First room as we exit the staircase.
Okay. You see a tidily kept bedroom, long since, decayed away with age, colors leached away. You can see this cute bed, based on the fading hue. It looks like it might have been a red or a pink bedspread. There are, pillows arrayed, a teddy bear that sits on the, in front of the
Not
pillows.
No,
Well-
we're just gonna big X on this door and close it.
Okay. And then we go to this over here.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how that happened. Oh, there we go.
All right. Let's see.
I don't know how to delete it either.
Give me one second.
I think you just hit delete.
I'm getting it.
Zokar, did you just slash the rooms in a weird arcing pattern?
I did. It's a standard Githyanki search technique.
Good.
I will teach it to you one day.
As you come into this room, you see a slightly larger bed. This is probably a proper queen size that has nightstands on either side. There is a, some cross stitch that hangs over the bed. Your classic sort of home sweet home, as best you can tell from here. The sheets are totally disheveled and sort of like cast about everywhere, covered in the covers are tossed about in and amongst the sheets, thrown about everywhere.
All right.
Oh.
Does it look like this is also covered in a layer of dust, or has somebody been sleeping here recently?
Make a perception check.
13.
This is pretty freshly disturbed.
Okay. The abandoned town is not so abandoned as we might have guessed.
They will come upon the fixed door, and they will know that we have claimed this place, and they will not come in.
I'm going to look around and see if whoever was sleeping here left anything behind, other than the disturbed bedroom.
Okay. I'll carry off that, make a investigation check.
21.
I will assist.
All right.
I'll be grateful.
Indeed. Looking around, you don't find any more current belongings. Everything in this room is very aged. There is dust in places, and things are definitely weathered from time. So you don't see any fresh accoutrement in the room. What you do notice is...
Sorry, I did not mean to do that.
No worries, no worries. What you do notice is that the sheets are scratched up, like there are runs in the sheets, as though they've been, sort of rubbed across or damaged and scratched in places.
Would somebody, does there appear to be any pattern or what can we determine about why these scratches were caused?
From what you can tell, it looks, because that's a good investigation. It looks like abrasions almost, as though something was sleeping here or laid here or whatever, that it was not your typical like smooth-skinned creature.
Got it.
Like it either, might be something scaly or something that has like spines on it, or other sort of protrusions, something that would abrade the fabric in unusual ways.
Okay. And also like incidental, not somebody deciding that they really wanted to tear this carpet to ribbons.
Right.
Okay. Cool. We don't find any evidence of this creature, but it's something to keep an eye out for.
Okay. As you scooch over into what appears to be this library, it is a war zone. Now, you saw a little bit of it piled up on the table, but now as you come in and properly look around with a little bit of light sources as well, all of the books have been like pulled off the shelves and sort of scattered all over the place, splayed, spine up. There's a pile of books and papers on the table, and it is just a mess in here.
I'll do a cursory glance through, like a does anything jump out at me kind of thing.
Okay. You don't even have to roll for that if it's just a quick look. Cursory level, what you sort of notice passively is that there is damage to the books, like they are scratched or clawed on some of the covers and whatnot.
What size claws are we talking about?
A medium-sized category.
So big claws. Bear-ish, small bear or larger. What is the number of scratches? Like, is it like 5 scratches, like from like a hand? We've already like had dealings with were creatures. Like, is there anything I can glean from a kind of scratching?
It's
a Wolverine.
It seems to be a pattern of 3.
Ooh, interesting.
It's Wolverine.
It's Wolverine.
I'll notice like a heaviness in my bag, and I pull out the ledger. I'm like, what the heck? But I decide to open it and just sort of like flip through. Do I notice any pattern in what's there?
A quick cursory glance shows you that it is meeting minutes. A secretary writing down the proceedings of a like town hall discussion.
Oh, so less cult and more like civic center.
The town association.
More
Yeah.
like Leslie Knope.
Yes.
Yes.
Were the meeting notes towards the end, presumably increasingly desperate, or did they just stop recording the meetings at some point?
Or are there any clues at all about what was going on in the last couple of pages?
Make an investigation check.
Cannot just read the last pages?
Well, parsing things together. I never said it was a hard DC.
Do you want to make that, Selva, or do you want me to assist you with that?
Investigation isn't my proficiency, but I could hand you the book.
Okay. I will take a look.
I don't feel the need to assist you on reading the last few pages.
15. Hopefully the clues are not too difficult to find.
So you are slightly impaired by the fact that like you don't know much in the way of dates, like when specifically did all this happen and whatnot. But you are able to reference that at least it's the right year. And in these final pages, you're sort of scouring for references, looking for themes, and it really doesn't seem like there's any sort of cohesive thing. The biggest thing that was on the town's radar was a debate over whether they should levy a tax on the visiting merchants since they were not residents of the village.
Hmm. Who are
Okay.
these merchants?
Yeah, is there any clues as to who the merchants might be, or is it just their only concern of them is whether or not they can profit off of them?
As you are sort of thumbing through, there is a list of merchants. It seems as though in some cases there is a business name, the Traveling Tinsmith, or what have you, or they list initials of presumably these merchants who just go by their name.
Okay. Anything I recognize?
Make a history check.
Ooh. $23.
It's, you sort of think to yourself, as you're skimming through and this was 70 years ago, what sort of recognition could there possibly be? And two letters jump out to you. JV.
JV. Why do they jump out at me?
You rolled really darn well, so I won't make you rely on your player notes, but it's a good idea to have them.
I feel like I've got player notes.
Author of the book. Is Jordan something was the author of the book?
Jordan Saxberry is what I have.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any JV though.
You don't have a name to go off of, but when you were exploring Chalet Brantifax, there was a physician, wise man, referenced in Lady Brantifax's journal who also went by the initial JV.
I see it now.
Creepy McCreep face.
So JV, I presume he was one of the merchants discussed in these last few pages.
Potentially. It's just initials. Who knows? 70 years ago. But with that really good history check, you're like, well, I've seen those initials before without knowing what they mean.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you, Silver, for the suggestion. All right. So in our current room, there's signs of a battle, or at least a struggle, or maybe some creature just really doesn't like books.
Yeah, can we determine if it's a struggle or if it's like someone just tore up the books?
It's pretty easy to determine that like there are practically no books left on shelves, so it really does seem like everything was just yanked off of the shelves and thrown on the floor.
Maybe the books were all Gingoat Sam, which we encountered, and no.
Everything's connected.
Well, it seems like there might be more clues here, so I guess it's time for a more than cursory glance. Baratzun, assist me in working through this.
Did we check the other two rooms?
We have not yet.
I think we should check them really quick and then, because we
we were
don't really want the giant were monster to be behind one of these doors and attack us while we were investigating.
You are correct, of course. I let my curiosity master me, and not the other way around. And I'll move.
And as they say, curiosity killed the mind flayer.
No,
we killed the mind flayers.
Killed the mind flayer.
Was there no Gith Yankee called Curiosity?
Oh no, we don't name ourselves after other lesser things. Our names are our own. That is a strange human conceit. I once met a girl named Apple. Terrible.
What's Zokar? Where did that come from?
It's the name I chose on my Ascendance Day.
It is the being that is me.
It is a name that strikes fear so hard.
I've heard. I
I'm
mean,
aware all
I've
about
met. I
things.
mean, I don't know about you, Azure, but I've met about like 5 though.
I only met
Huh.
1 or 2, but
Hmm.
Oh,
I knew like a million Baratsuns. They're like
I
I
do
mean,
not
it's like
believe
John
you.
Smith.
yeah.
We would have heard of them.
good.
And if they are out there, then we will battle them for their name, and we will, of course, emerge victorious.
Good. But they all spell it with a Z instead of an X.
Yeah.
Well, they clearly can't spell.
Yes.
They throw a hyphen in there too, which I'll admit it cheapens it.
Mhm.
There's a deep cut on the X. Take inspiration, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, as you poke into that room, you find a similarly, nicely appointed bedroom. It looks like perhaps blue might have been the color of the neatly made bed. Pillows arrayed and a stuffed teddy bear just looking at you.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and then the last room.
I will immediately draw my sword and chop the teddy bear in two, as I promised Selva I would do earlier.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
Good. Stuffing goes everywhere, and some maggots.
It's fine. It's just filled with maggots.
Maggots? Why?
Well, it's probably quite comfy and warm in there.
Okay.
All right, and as you open the final room, a little more generally appointed. It looks as though maybe green might have been the color of the bedspread. There is a writing desk laid out, a wardrobe for clothes that is hanging open, and as the sort of draft of air current blows in, a swarm of moths just like flies out of the wardrobe.
I just want to throw this out there. Things have been moth-eaten. A swarm of moths. I feel like we've heard moth-eaten a lot. Does anybody does moths ring a bell to anybody?
Well, there is the great moth god Muthkara, but they wouldn't be here. They don't live on this plane.
Okay.
Well, there is the Mothman legend that I've heard of around.
Yeah.
Neverwinter.
I'm just gonna say moths. I feel like they've come up a few times today.
Last time it was ravens.
Yeah.
Are we?
Where moths? They have to be real.
Yes.
I want to believe.
I love the subtle implication now that Neverwinter is Pennsylvania. Good job, Sean.
Thanks.
A Mothman prophecy.
Right.
What are we going to eat? Scrapple and, I don't know, talk about the Steelers?
Oh, man.
Deep cuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's in here other than moths?
Seems to be a, based on the appointments and whatnot, perhaps a guest room. Because it's just an empty writing desk with some supplies, but it's not actually used like you might
Okay,
expect.
there's nothing in any of the drawers?
Nah. There's a stack of parchment, an inkwell of dried ink, and maybe a couple pens, quills.
Forgetting that I am tied up to people, I'm going to very sharply turn and go back to the library, irrespective of how that inconveniences my hangers on.
I stumble after.
Good.
And now I'm going to look through this with the attention that it deserves.
All right. Go ahead and, yeah. Oh, my. Okay. Let's see here. Nope, that's not what I want.
I'm getting real sick of looking at my malar rash. Let me tell you what.
Oh.
Terrible.
Okay. So, as you are kind of combing through this, you start to deduce almost the splatter pattern of books, I guess you could say, of like as they were swept off the shelves, like which direction things were thrown in. and as you have, sort of multiple people looking around and trying to siphon through things. And you also realize that there is a collection of books kind of on a chair, in a sense that they might have been swept off the table in the first place, and that seem to have some theming of, there's a book of, sort of a bestiary of rare animals, a compendium, Volo's adjunct compendium of monsters, a collection of fairy tales, a book on denizens of the Feywild. And so you're definitely getting a theme of monsters or creatures or something that is this theme to this stack of books.
Are the books marks in any way? Are there margins in the notes or dog-eared pages or bookmarks or anything like that?
They absolutely are. Let's see here. There are, you can see dog-eared pages and notes scribbled in the margins of, like, ability to move at night, question mark. Or, on another page, there's something about, like, ability to teleport, question mark. And a lot of these notes that are then the subject matter is just scribbled out, like the actual contents of the page are just scribbled out, angrily, sort of hastily splashed through with ink. And you're thumbing through and finding a lot of dead ends until there is actually a piece of parchment that sticks out of the book of fairy tales that says, "Could this be the answer?"
And what is the fairy tale, pray tell?
The fairy tale tells of meanlocks. Meanlocks. Fey creatures that are caused by the corrupt torture of humanoids.
Ooh.
If they're fey creatures, then how do they get here?
The story describes that they are attracted to panic and despair, and that they prefer subterranean habitats.
Oh, so like a mine collapse.
Or they were hiding in the mines.
They were drawn to the mines, is my read.
So is this the kind of cool fairy tale where they're like, it tells us what they fear, and there's a lesson that can be learned about how to keep your children safe from the evil meanlocks?
Correct. Ooh, do I want to go here? Yes. There is a, sort of your Little Red Riding Hood sort of thing, except instead of a red cape, it is, "I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer."
Well, that should be easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very much a sort of Grimm's fairy tale of don't be a pansy. Don't be afraid. Come on. Fuck her up, kid.
Very good.
Easy.
Well, we have never known fear.
Chalet Brantifax would beg to differ.
There
Fear-
was panic because things did not go according to expectation, but never fear.
Fear is nothing to be ashamed of. It just means you're cautious and protective of yourself.
Fear is a weapon the mind flayers will turn you inside out with, so it's best not to have any.
Lucky they're not in this random mayor's house.
That's where you would least expect them, is where you'll find them.
I mean, I'll leave the mind players to your expertise. But
Have we described them? Tall, 8 or 9 feet tall, tentacles for faces. They will literally attach themselves to your head and suck your very essence out. And that's if they're not going to mentally torture you into a gibbering mess.
I mean, that sounds awful. All I'm saying is I've been what do you call us? Primes or whatever? for a
They're
while now,
slimy
and I've
as
never.
they are smelly, and as evil as they are smelly, and also they smell terrible.
Sounds like the smell is an issue.
Well, look at my nose. Lots of room for smelling.
But as a member of the material plane, I've not encountered them. So while I don't want to discount your fear, I don't
Count
think
yourself
it's
lucky
happening.
then.
I'm not
I-
afraid of them.
I don't.
kill them.
I don't envy your experience.
Not afraid. Slam.
Okay. So it sounds like we have investigated every room of this place, have a lead to what is potentially causing the disappearances, and we're maybe considering finding a place to sleep.
This second floor landing would seem to be the safest. If they prefer underground, the first floor is under the second. We have one defensible position in the form of the stairwell, and this would seem to be the soundest place.
I was actually thinking we sleep in one of the bedrooms because they could maybe come in through one of these windows. There's all these rooms all around. They could like sneak in through.
Yeah, is there a windowless room?
It looks
This
like they all,
room,
it looks
We
like they
could
all
just
have at least
sleep at
3
the
windows.
top of the stairs.
I'd say we sleep here, and I can bar these doors. That will not be an issue.
Are there locks on these doors?
No.
Hmm.
It's all right. We're just going to cram books into the edges of the door so that the door cannot be opened. It's fine.
Fair.
Okay. I'm on board.
Actually, speaking of, while we were investigating these books, given that I rolled well, did we find any books that Candlekeep might want?
Yes, actually, this book of fairy tales might be suitable.
Okay, I'm
Seems
keeping it.
Yeah, seems to be very much your sort of Grimm's fairy tales, like, written in the author's hand, so collection of oral tradition. Might be something that someone hasn't written down before.
As we
Perfect.
kind of secure our area, Azure, you mentioned having Home Alone-like comedic traps. Do you have anything you could like set down that might trigger if somebody tries to bother us?
I could have some caltrops on the steps.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had some string, but apparently I don't. So I think I could do like a tripwire.
Okay.
Let's see what else. What else do I have?
Do you have like paint cans attached to rope?
You know, I think this is what I'm going to spend all my gold on. I do have. I will pull out a bell. Apparently, I have the spell.
Okay.
Yeah, that would if you can rig that to a tripwire.
Unfortunately, I don't have wire.
Darn.
I will take
We have
I will take some of my long waist length hair, and I will pull out a few strands, and I will hand them to you.
Thank you. I also have this 10 feet of chain. I'm just looking at the stuff I bought. Let's see. I do still have some more rope. Yeah, I don't know. I could probably use your hair for something. Az is probably much better at this than Sean is.
I was gonna say, go ahead and make dexterity plus proficiency.
Can I do just like a thief's tools check or something?
Yeah.
That's
Okay, all right. So you sort of look at the materials that you have at hand and come up with a few reasonable ideas. You manage to you take your bell and fasten it to the double doors downstairs as sort of one warning area. You take advantage of the books and the leather and whatnot to jam these doors, as Zokar had suggested. You manage to place, the caltrops, into the shadows of the stairs there to hinder passage upward. And you manage to, let's see, what else? Decent thing.
I can take the light from myself, and I can select one of the floorboards on the stairs to emit within 10 feet the message, "You're being attacked," if someone steps on it.
I love the Siri voice that it always takes.
Yep.
Proceed to the route.
For the caltrops on the stairs, can I still give us like an easy way down? Like
Um,
maybe like every other step would have something. I don't know.
yeah, if someone basically moves at half speed, they know where to step.
Okay.
And
Just
and then the last thing that you do, I think, is you manage to sort of go around before you jam the doors. You go to the windows and taking some of your rope, maybe like 10 feet of rope, and you fray it and peel off the strands. So you've got some twine basically to work with, and you tie the shutters to the windows themselves. Sort of the fastenings of the windows, so that hopefully if the shutters are like forced open, it will also break the glass.
Functional
Okay.
shutters, not just weird decorative suburban shutters
Yeah.
that do nothing.
Right.
All right.
I read this in a book once. All these homemade traps.
Yep.
Nice.
Written by this dude named Kevin. All right. So with that, you feel as confident as can be, given your supplies, that you have secured a place for yourself. It is now properly into the night and time for a long rest. And that is where we will pick up next week.
Nice.
Fun session, guys.
Woohoo! Which, I did it again. Guys, I can't do it twice in a row. Hang on. Let's see here. I know how to do things. Where's a calendar? This is the 11th. So our next episode will air on the 25th of August. We'll see you there. It's probably going to be live, Brendan. At least a disembodied voice, or maybe a face, will pop in now to say hello.
Hi, live Brendan. How are you?